And first of all, I want to thank Al Ayman, the best manager in the world.
He's the fucking champion of the world! Mega man!
Thanks for the love, Tony. It's the 102nd Nuthouse Podcast brought to you by BoxChatham.com. I'm your host, Andy Patterson. With me today, I've got Alex Morris, Kurt Ward, David Loback, Steve Wellens, Irish Boxing Review, and Adam Smith. Guys, hopefully you've all recovered from last night. I take it you've all had a sleep and refreshed up, etc, etc. I know I was pretty rough last night.
Were you?
I'll be, but I can't remember anything about last night. Just about.
Whatever your hiccups then.
Oh, I remember that actually. Fucking whiskey. Anyways, guys, going straight into action. Manny Pacquiao back to form basically. Pretty much had it all his own way against Chris Algeri. 6 knockdowns over the course of the 12 rounds. Someone actually asked me on Twitter earlier on today. Actually, is that the widest scorecard in a 12 rounder that you've seen? Anybody able to kind of substantiate that a wee bit?
Well, recently I can't think of one like up the top of my head, but the only one is Klitschko Povetkin, but that wasn't as much, was it? But that was pretty wide as well, but I think Pacquiao Algeri's way in front.
120, 102, I think it was Michael Pernick put in a scorecard. I've never seen one as wide as that anyway.
Yeah, Algeri was down, was it 6 times?
6 times,
yeah.
Aye.
Povetkin was down 4 times. I can't think of anyone being down off the top of my head that many times, to be honest. Usually they're stopped, aren't they?
2 of them were actually, well, I think they were slips actually, 2 of them, especially
Yeah,
one.
two
The
first one, yeah. The first one definitely was, wasn't it?
I think there was also one, I think it was maybe
The third one.
Yeah, that one, that's the one that was in Pacquiao's corner. I think it was kind of wet, that canvas.
Roach kept putting the water. Roach had some playing going on.
Yeah.
You know, if you remember, Endam was down 6 times, but that was actually a close fight.
Yeah, I've said that before actually. If you take out the knockdowns in that Endam fight, I think he would have beat Quillen actually. Probably bossed most of the rounds until he actually got dropped.
Oh,
But,
Dougie Fisher says that Primo Carnero was down 11 times against Max Baer.
Alright.
Going old school there, so that was probably
yeah, we need to go back into time to find out any other knockdowns. Guys, obviously, you know, we touched upon the Bellew fight last night. We're not going to discuss it in great detail today, so what we'll touch upon is the Pacquiao fight. We'll go down the undercard, then we'll cut across to the Sky pay-per-view. Some of us said last week that Algeri would probably prove problematic for Pacquiao. Some thought he would get destroyed, some thought he would get dominated. I was one of those that thought maybe it might cause Pacquiao some problems with the movement, but last night he did absolutely nothing. I didn't think he held his feet in any sort of way. He didn't want to seem to kind of try and trade at some points like he did with Provodnikov. It's just, you know, I don't know what it was there last night at all. It was just like he just turned up for a paycheck.
The game plan, well, if you call it a game plan, was pretty terrible, wasn't it? I mean, you got a guy who's got the length, who's got the reach, you know, he's a tall guy, and, you know, he could stay on the outside and try. You'd think he'd try and use his jab and use his feet, make it a boring fight, because if the fight's boring, Algeri's probably got a good case of, you know, being in the fight, but it was like, well, we'll get through the first 4 rounds and then try and step it up a bit. I mean, it's just, as they said on HBO, I mean, you're going in with a guy who's active and he's obviously got the power advantage, and it just seemed very strange. I mean, the trainer, I can't remember his name, but he didn't seem to know what he was doing, to be honest.
That's an understatement, mate.
People have made comments about Cleverly's training, you know, the strength and conditioning guy, but this guy just, he didn't seem to have a clue. I mean, it was just a very strange tactics. I know he's up against it, but I just don't understand what they were actually trying to do. He kept going on about he's in the cage and he's going to let him out of the cage and all this nonsense. And Algeri, you know, I think he listened to everything he said and was, you know, believing that game plan. It was just bad from him. And, you know, Pacquiao said on Twitter earlier, you know, for a fighter that he's considered past it, and, you know, after his knockout against Marquez, I thought maybe he might retire from the sport, having, you know, everything he's done in it. He ain't got nothing to prove, but this year he's bounced back with, you know, a great win over Tim Bradley, the revenge, and another good win there against a guy who, you know, might not be, you know, a household name, but someone who I thought, because of his style, could he give Pacquiao problems, and Pacquiao just walked through him and had his way with him. He tried to get the knockout, he couldn't do it, but dropping someone 6 times, 4 of those probably legitimate as well, but dropping him shows the power's still there, and Pacquiao, I think he's nearly 36 now, he's still looking as good, well, not as what he was, but he's still looking as good as he can be, I think, at this stage.
I've actually managed to get some quotes actually from, I forget the trainer's name, is it Tim something his name is? Algeri's
Tim
trainer?
Lane.
Tim Mullane.
Yep.
Right, after the first knockdown, I think it was, round 3 I think it was, I've got it written here somewhere, there it's there. You're doing beautiful, man, keep it up. Okay, that's after getting dumped on your arse, right? I think it was then after round 7, after another knockdown, this is where we want to be, on your arse? Round 9, seconds, but that was a very heavy knockdown, that first one actually. I think he says, Chris is going to put him to sleep in a few minutes. Right, in the end of the round, right, we're exactly where we need to be, presumably flat on his back and on his arse again. Round 10, Chris, I'm letting you out of the cage. And then round 11, at 17 points behind, with 1 round to go, hit him in the body and stay on his ass. This is the Chris Algeri show.
The thing is, though, you're talking about a guy who's not a puncher at all, is he? He's not noted for his power at all. I mean, so to go in the game plan of taking it late and then stepping it on, and I know Pacquiao was knocked out by Marquez, but Pacquiao is noted for having good punch resistance, and you could see after the first 2 rounds Pacquiao was taking shots, but it's because he didn't need to worry about what was coming back at him, because Algeri just carries no power.
You had Kellerman rooting for Algeri because he's a New Yorker. Obviously, he was on his nuts a little bit. He's like, at least Algeri can snap Pacquiao's head back with a shot. He wasn't snapping his head back. He landed flush shots. Pacquiao wasn't moved a bit. It was less than Bradley, and Bradley's obviously not a puncher, not a big puncher. But when he teed off on Manny in the 10th round of their first fight, didn't move him at all. Algeri was even less effective.
Pacquiao will basically walk through everything that Algeri threw, or when he decided to throw anybody. But yeah, as Kurt says, I mean, the guy's got the length. You think he would actually kind of step in behind the jab a bit, but he just didn't do it. That being the case, so the usual people, I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but Fighter A gets glass as being a cherry picker, etc. Does Pacquiao fall into the same category after that fight last night? Because at the end of the day, Algeri isn't obviously on his level. I mean, obviously he was in with a all-time great. Algeri was, takes balls, as I've said before, it takes balls to keep getting up, but cherry picked.
Yeah. I don't think so.
I don't think
cherry
picked is just a top-ranked fighter, simple as that.
I just think, you got to look at it like this. If Ruslan Provodnikov got the fight with Pacquiao, I don't think anyone would really be complaining too much. But, Algeri beat Provodnikov, so although it's probably not a fight many wanted, to me, it's not that bad as some people say. And like I said, I did expect it to be a tougher fight, to be honest.
Well, I thought it would be a complete whitewash, and I said I didn't think Algeri deserved to be in the ring with Pacquiao, and that turned out to be the case. I would have preferred Provodnikov simply because of he's got that massive size difference. He's got that real big strength that he could have brought to Pacquiao, and really made it a difference, I think. But instead, we get Algeri, who's on the back foot for the first 4 rounds, doing absolutely fuck all, and then getting knocked on 6 times. Yeah, 2 of them, fair enough, were slips, but that 9th round when he got dumped on his ass, that would have been a stoppage over here. I mean, he was fucking gone.
That was a heavy one.
He was like at 9.5 is when he started getting up properly. Terry O'Connor would have probably stopped that. Fucking Howard Foster would have Howard Foster would have definitely stopped that.
Howard Foster would have stopped the one in the first round on the slip.
Yeah, he would have done.
I think Algeri did more running than most Scottish players on Tuesday night, to be honest. His legs must be knackered today. He's been doing that much running. I think it's the best Pacquiao looked since his little comeback following the knockout, but I am still concerned that he ain't stopping anyone. And I think the X factor is missing.
I think he could have stopped him. I think he carried him for the last couple of rounds.
Exactly, and that's
the same with Margarito.
It's not good enough. He needs to be stopping
bothered.
people.
He's not bothered about just beating them down anymore. He just wants to do enough to make sure he wins, which
I don't think that's good enough.
I mean, it's not as entertaining and not what we want to see because it means he's not being at his best. But against a guy like Algeri, it's
Yeah, but why not take him out? As we've already said, Algeri is not going to damage him. He's been taking, Pacquiao was taking the punches that he did land from very early doors. He was miles ahead on the cards, I think he needed to close the show. He hadn't knocked anyone out for a long time.
That's true, but at the end of the day, I think we've all basically agreed or said that, his power hasn't really carried up to welterweight.
No.
Why did nobody do anything about the water in the corners? That's what I want to know. The referee must have seen it, but nobody did anything from what I could see to clear it up.
Well, that ref, I was pleased that he didn't stop the fight off that knockdown like a British referee would have, but he was pretty biased towards Pacquiao. He kept calling low blows that were on the belt line, even legal body shots. He called 2 knockdowns which weren't legitimate for Pacquiao. I think that guy was on either trying to get on Bob Arum's good side or something. I don't know.
Dave, did you pay for that last night?
Did I?
Yeah.
No, I watched it on stream.
My boss.
I don't buy into PPV anymore.
Team stream all the way. Well, guys, obviously no, that's what I was going to ask. I was quite surprised that Algeri missed the weight. I think he was half a pound over or something at the weigh-in.
4 ounces or something.
Some folks said they actually looked drained. I never saw the weigh-in. How did they look on the scales? Wonder if that maybe had any contributing factor into his performance.
He looked a bit drawn, but there's no excuse. He's a fucking nutritionist, isn't he? Bangs on all the time, apparently, on his Twitter and his Instagram about how he eats right. He's got a master's in nutrition. He doesn't make weight. It's fucking hilarious.
Too many avocados.
Yeah, that was embarrassing, I think, after all the talk beforehand.
Yep. It's like saying you're going to ice a man and then obviously settle for the 12-round decision.
Yeah, hardly throwing any punches and looking like a fucking house.
Yeah.
He looked like at the weigh-in, I thought he looked in really good shape. I thought he was almost giving Pacquiao a run for his money, and Pacquiao's obviously always ripped.
Yeah, I had no complaints from what I saw, but I'm not an expert at weigh-ins.
He must have been in good shape because, he got knocked down 6 times. He was buzzed towards the end, clearly. He could have got stopped, but the fact that he wasn't even just moving, he was actually running around the ring at times, like a funny skipping, like a backward skip almost type thing. He must have been in good condition.
Yeah, it takes obviously stamina to kind of keep going about the ring like that for 12 rounds, especially after getting twatted about and knocked down 6 times. But obviously, the one fight we want to see Pacquiao in next we can't discuss. It's never going to happen, in our personal opinion, or my personal opinion anyway, so no point in mentioning it. As for Algeri, I'm not really fussed about what he does now. I think he maybe even retire, actually. I think his plan was really to kind of get enough money together and retire and open up his own gym or his own nutritional company or whatever it was. So that being the case, moving down the undercard now, guys, through a haze of whiskey, barely remember the Vargas DeMarco fight. I think Vargas was pretty dominant. I think both fighters were cut in that fight, if I believe.
That was alright, that fight.
Yeah, for what I remember anyway. But I never saw Zhu Shiming, and I've seen 3 rounds of Vasily Lomachenko, so guys, you usually need to take it away, especially those that saw the fights anyway.
Oh, Lomachenko was fantastic.
Broke his hand in the 7th round.
Sort of middle round 6 or 7, I think. He put him on his arse in the 4th as well. He just looked brilliant. He looked like he was on rollers, the way he just floated about the ring and just skidded about. He's just fantastic footwork, fantastic look, different range of motions. Yeah, the opponent wasn't really up to much, but he gave it a go. He obviously busted his hands in the middle of the fight, but no, even with one hand, he was just completely dominating the guy, still throwing jabs and combinations and little hooks and uppercuts, and he looks fantastic, and you can't wait to see him in some of the bigger fights in the division.
He's just mesmerising, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think his footwork was stunning, and he showed that every punch in the book he used last night. I particularly liked the uppercuts when he used it, and I think the fact that he's prepared, even with his reputation as an amateur, is prepared to fight anyone, going at the deep end quite quickly, quite early in his career, as we've seen. I think that'll put him in good stead. He could easily be pound for pound, top 5 in a couple of years.
The Walters fight is a really good fight as well. I just hope that they make it and don't let it marinate as Bob Arum likes to do.
Apparently Walters is saying he's got nothing to gain from that fight other than the WBO title, I suppose, but what else is there to gain from that?
I think that's just speak for him saying, I want to be paid a lot of money for the fight. To be honest, I think if they want to make that fight, it'll happen. But it just depends what they want to do. I think Loma said I think he wants the Johnny Gonzalez fight. I believe he said he wants first.
So I was just going to say, I think I remember Lampley saying last night if he couldn't get in the title list, he wanted either the number 1, 2, or 3 top ranked contender of his organisation. Is that right?
I'm not sure, but I know that Kellerman and Roy Jones were really going on about the Rigondeaux fight. That's that fight that they really want to see. That's not going to happen, though, is it?
Yeah,
that would be a really technical and good fight. But a lot of
can I ask why that ain't going to happen?
Bob won't make it, will he? He hates Rigondeaux.
Well, HBO says that they wouldn't be willing to show him again. Is that right as well?
I think for that fight they would, but I don't think Aaron would be interested in that. He wants Lomachenko to look good, doesn't he? And even if he thinks he's going to beat Rigondeaux, I can't see anyone really looking good against Rigondeaux. That's the thing.
Do you think Lomachenko would be able to draw Rigondeaux out of his shell? I think that he might be able to. Maybe Rigondeaux wouldn't come out as negatively in that fight.
I really don't know how that fight would play out. I mean, it's one for the purists, I think, a technical standpoint. I still think, obviously, they've still got a kind of amateur trait run about them, whereas Rigondeaux will probably he'll be more inclined sometimes to be happy to pick up points. But if he does really want to step on the front foot, he can blast anyone out of there. And obviously we've seen Lomachenko get ragdolled somewhat with Salido, so it just proves that the kid's also got some guts about him. He's no made of crystal, basically,
Lomachenko is great to watch, though, isn't he? So fluid, the way he moves in and out. That left hook to the body he was landing, and there's another lopsided card. I think it was 120-107, like a 13-point sort of margin between them. And that guy, was it Piria Pino or something? Fair play to him, because there's a few times he could have bailed out. Broken hand for Lomachenko or not, he stuck in there and he had a good go. And Lomachenko threw over 1,000 punches.
I think the opponent's only defeat was against Chris John.
That's right.
3 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only problem I've got with Lomachenko is his bona fide power. I don't know whether it's there, but obviously his technique will make up for it. But I don't know if he's got the raw power.
The thing is, if you look at a lot of these types, I know this guy's got something like 50 odd fights on his record, but if you actually scrutinise it, a lot of these are especially, it happens quite a lot with the Thai fighters, they've got either fight a guy that's in his debut or he's 1-2 and 2-1 or whatever, so. They're
like dog years, aren't they? You have to divide it by 7 for the true statistic of the resume.
Yep. Zhu Shiming, guys. Kurt, I know you didn't see that fight. Tell us, Dave. Shit. Tell us.
Okay, this guy gave Algeri a run for his money with all the running he did in the last third of the fight. I mean, he's fought. I love the guy he fought, though. It's this little Pacquiao lookalike. Everyone was talking about that. He looked so much, especially on the stream where the quality was low. I mean, you could mistake him for Pacquiao. But I mean, this kid was he kept trying. He was outgunned in probably power. He was hugely outsized. He had no speed and not really many skills, but he kept just walking forward and winging shots, and a lot of them actually did connect and shake up Xiao Ming a little bit. But I mean, this kid, I just love the heart on this kid, and I mean, eventually it was a wide decision, but by the last third of the fight, it seemed Xi Ming was tired out, and he just started running away. Didn't even go to make a statement or anything. I thought it was really disappointing from him.
To be totally outgunned by Zhu Shiming, I mean, just says everything, doesn't it? Because he's to me, he's average at best. He's just obviously I can see what they're doing with him and why they're doing it, but he hasn't got the talent to go with the hype at all. I
mean, I think was that the final eliminator for Estrada's title there last night. I said it last week as well. Yeah. Shiming is going to get absolutely destroyed off him.
That's the first time I've watched Shiming, and I thought his style is difficult to like, but he was running all over the place. He's obviously not got any power whatsoever. But the Chinese markets love him for obvious reasons, so he might go far. But how did he manage to be such a good amateur? Because watching him and then watching Lomachenko, it's clear, even to me who don't even pay any attention to the amateurs at all, to see why Lomachenko had been so successful. But Shiming won 2 gold medals, didn't he?
Well, like the commentators were saying there, Lampley said he learned how to. It's a big adjustment for the pros to amateur because he had to learn how to just game the system. Basically, you just have to learn how to score points based on the amateur rules, which, in my opinion, are a load of shit and don't don't make for an entertaining sport at all.
And one of those medals was in China, so you can take what you want from that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the London Olympics too. I watched almost all the boxing from that was broadcast here, and it was like every other decision was had something wrong with it. Horribly
He gamed the
officiated.
system, Dave. Like you say, game the system. That's what it was.
See, the thing is, again, that Thai fighter's like Pacquiao One Song Cha Jim or something. He's got something like 30.
You said that last night.
Oh, no chance. The fell out my nose. That. Out of 30 fights he's had, 13 of them are debut opponents that he's faced. So again,
I want to see that kid again now. He's so fun.
Well, I think someone must have thought, right, you look like Pacquiao too much. We'll just chuck a couple of bits of bleach on the back of your ear, because I don't know what was going on there. There's like a couple of yellow strips in the back of his head. No method, or it was no method. And a side comment, I thought the referee was fantastic. His English is better than mine. He was very elaborate with his actions and in his words. I thought he was pretty decent. The referee was funny.
Okay, that's 22 minutes. Dave, very briefly, give us a breakdown on the DeMarco fight. As I says, I remember seeing it. I think Jesse Vargas again does what Jesse Vargas does, basically boxes his way to decision again.
Yeah, you already touched on it. Anything that needs to be said about it. I think Vargas is generally in pretty entertaining fights with guys who will come at him. I mean, he's willing to mix it up some. But whenever he did move and boxed, DeMarco has no chance. He's just garbage, really. He's not an impressive boxer. His timing is okay. He started off timing him a little bit, but when Vargas didn't let him get in range, which he did for most of the fight, it was just one-sided.
I thought Vargas looked a tad vulnerable, actually. If they put him in with a legitimate welterweight, I think he might have problems. But he's an entertaining fight, and carry on.
Okay, guys. This is the moment. We've got to go back now to Liverpool. Now, obviously, we touched upon the main event last night. Time to break down this undercard. Steve, I know you were actually at the Irish card last night, I think. So did you catch any of this?
Steve has got God on his side to be at that card instead of that.
Complete and utter shitfest, honestly.
I saw it. I saw the main event with the Irish card. Shout out to D. Walsh, new Irish champion. He just finished up in time, knocked the guy out in the second round, and we managed to get into the bar where they were streaming the Cleverly fight on the big screen.
Good stuff. Well, I like to hear.
Bit of team stream going on there.
Brilliant.
We watched it, with the sound down, and flip me. It was a shame they didn't have the flipping picture off as well.
Anyways, Bradley Saunders, how that fight ended up on pay-per-view, of all things, after Eddie Hearn said in the past, is that he's against putting his young prospects on pay-per-view because it limits their exposure. And did the exact the same thing there. And this is a kid who's now going to be actually highlighting an event in Newcastle in March.
That's one of those fights where you're there and you go for the piss break and maybe go and get something to drink or whatever, isn't it? And you just stay away and just
injection of heroin or something.
And just stay away as long as possible, because that was torture. Just thinking about it is like reliving a traumatic moment in my life again. It's just horrible.
Didn't he put that into the card late notice because he just thought it had to have some more value for your money? I mean, yeah. Thanks, man.
Who said this? Remember this, mate. A fight, you turn your TV off. As simple as that.
They put it down as a float, and it didn't require a float because it went on quite late. Quigg obviously went the distance. McDonnell went the distance. They didn't need a float.
Well, that fight, and I'm going to say as well, Anthony Joshua, Michael Sprott, the McDonnell fight, those fights weren't even good enough to even grace Eurosport. They were hideous fights. Scott Quigg, Otaka's getting a lot of credit for being tough, game, and durable. We all knew what Japanese fighters are like, but I'll tell you one thing, he's got no power to change the fight round about. He's got no talent, he's got no foot movement, he lacked power, he was very hittable at all angles, body shots, left hooks. There was nothing to gain from that fight last night.
Look, big respect to the guy. He tried to win. You don't want these guys pregnant Latvian getting a jab and falling over and getting knocked out. This guy came to win. But is that really what you want from a world champion, a supposed world champion? That his opponent is tough, Or he can be a punch bag for 12 rounds. Is that what we want for a supposed world champion to face on a pay-per-view card? Not for me. And like I said yesterday, McDonald was defending his world title in commas at 6:10 in front of 20 people. I mean, is that what we really want for world champions? It just doesn't look good in my opinion.
You need Scott Quigg now. We say to her, he now needs to be in big fights, better fights. If you can't get a big fight, he needs to be in far, far, far better fights than that. I did nothing for him there last night. Okay, he got 12 rounds under his belt, but what's the purpose of beating up a guy who we all knew was semi-retired?
Yeah,
I don't. Well, that's. Yeah. What Kurt says is exactly right. I mean, is this what it's come down to? When you're saying, oh, the guy was tough, he was strong, he was durable, he came to fight. Like, this is some kind of a surprise. Like, that's a bonus. This is a pay-per-view card. It's a £17 card. That's a mandatory requirement.
The thing is, what people are saying about Ataki there is what you say of opponents who are facing like 5-0 prospects. Oh, you want a guy who's tough, who can take a shot, who can take the guy rounds, and someone who's a 30-0 world champion.
Exactly.
That's a good point, really, from you, Steve, because I remember in the Callum Smith fight, Jim Watt said, slipping punches, and then a bit later he said, firing back is what you get with these pros. I mean, fucking hell. We're paying 17 quid. I want more than slipping punches and firing back. Like you say, it's a mandatory requirement. You'd get that down at the bloody Wigan Leisure Centre just down the bottom of our road.
Talking about Callum Smith, actually, did anybody think? I mean, obviously he's still a prospect. Did anybody think that there was some flaws shown up in his game plan there last night?
Yeah.
I think that. Go on.
He's a bit stiff and upright, isn't he? That's the thing. And when he's against a better opponent, he looks quite easy to hit.
He looks hittable, doesn't he? If he faces to face a guy with power.
The conclusion I made from it was he's been It was impressive to start with, blowing people out left, right, and centre with his power, especially body shots. I think he might be one of the ones with what we see regular, where as they move up in standard, that their power diminishes in respect to who they're fighting. And I think he might be one of them.
Andy, since you got to name Seth Mitchell something, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and name him Callum Stiff.
Well, listen, mate, I'm not going to dispute it because, as I said, I watched that fight last night and I did think, there was limitations showed up there. And as I said as well, maybe he's still learning on the job or whatever, but I think a couple more fights like that wouldn't go amiss actually before we start getting. I know that was meant to be an eliminator for the WBC title there last night. It's not a final eliminator, obviously, but listen, keep him away from the top 10 guys just now. Just keep him on the fringe. Keep him getting experience under his belt.
I think Sedge Locker did make it reasonably difficult for Smith, and he was experienced. He was covering up quite well, which so meant that Smith had to go elsewhere.
World class operator, according to Adam Smith. No, you obviously, other Adam Smith.
Not me. Yeah, well, I mean, who knows more about boxing, this Adam Smith or the Sky Adam Smith? We don't know.
Compare and contrast then. Callum Smith against Sheck Locker and AJ against Sprott. Who was like the bigger step up for who? And things like that.
Smith was a step up.
Sedge Locker was a step up. Yeah.
Would you say?
Well, see, to be honest, but listen, I think I posted on Twitter last night I think, Adam, you even commented on it, there's no way any of us or anyone could have shat on the Joshua Sprott fight because we all knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
We all said it was going to happen, he was going to get blasted. I mean, Christ, Sprott got knocked out off Kelly Meehan, and Kelly Meehan's like, 15, 20 years past his prime?
Hold on, didn't Eddie Hearn tell us that Kelly Meehan was a good fighter?
Yeah.
Kelly Meehan won last night as well.
There we go.
Kelly Meehan will be next for Joshua, probably.
The thing with Joshua, we need to really nip it in the bud as well because it's gonna keep coming up. Is the cash cow is currently not far off being the top dog at Matchroom in terms of attention, sales, following.
He's probably third right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's right up the top, isn't he?
Behind
fucking Frotch, Kel, maybe, and then AJ.
Yeah, so his potential his potential obviously could go on to be massive. So we've got to accept that this is the way it's going for the time being. Eddie said to us that he could have put he could have swapped the opponents around. He could have had Sprott then backed off, and the Sprott fight at Wembley would have put numbers on the gate, which was actually needed. The Wembley when Lee Selby was there, was in the O2. That wasn't sold out, so he could have actually gone that route. But as we've always been saying, we hardly learned anything again last night, and we didn't expect to. We didn't expect to learn much, but he goes in, and the people, the 10,000-11,000 people in the arena are all impressed with the way he comes in. He's a beast, talks well, and knocks people out pretty quickly. He gives them a bit. I mean, when they've just sat through 6 or whatever it was at rounds of Bradley Saunders and some Japanese average fighter pushing Scott Quigg further than he should. That's what's needed on a show like that.
It looks like he's going to face Safety Pin Johnson on the 31st
That'll
January.
be good.
I mean, he's going to take it. He's going to take him rounds, but there's no danger there. That's the problem. He will take him rounds, but there's no danger of him losing because Safety Pin won't throw anything other than a jab, and that'll be 2 times a round. But at least he'll go a few rounds. But after that, who's it going to be next? They're going to make the. No, I don't think that'll happen anytime soon. I think Audley's going to happen. I believe that.
Yeah,
that's going to happen. That'll sell.
No.
Who is would Joshua knock Safety Pin out?
I think so. I could see him knocking Safety Pin out, and it's a safe situation.
Aye, saying that, mate. Did Chisora not knock him down?
I think he did.
Chisora could knock him down. I think AJ
it's a safe situation, though, isn't it? Because even if Joshua gasses, Safety Pin has no killer instinct whatsoever. I mean, I remember when he fought the Tyson Fury over here, all the press conferences, he's this fast talker, he's amusing, he talks a good game, and then on the fight night, he's a world-class fighter and he delivers area-level performances. He never backs up.
Awful.
Never backs up his talk whatsoever, and he's just always on the hype train. He's timid, he's negative, he's defensive.
We're still talking about Safety Pin, or gone back to Tony Bellew?
Safety Pin.
Safety Pin. If Joshua knocked him out, I would not be surprised.
That's the thing that people will bank on, that if he takes him into the second half of the fight, will Joshua, his stamina, what would be? But unless he's got the stamina of a fat asthmatic, all he has to do is throw 5 punches around and he's already outworking Safety Pin.
Thing is, well, if you're saying he's stopping him, does he actually knock him out, or is it he's just throwing load of punches and Howard Foster jumps in? Is it a proper stoppage?
No, he's not laying Safety Pin out now. I can't see that.
Talking about the Sprott fight, did you hear Jim Watt mention the fact is that he wasn't happy with Terry O'Connor being too slow off the draw to stop that fight?
Yeah, he was correct as well.
Fuck's sake, Jim Watt.
He's about 20 stars, so it's obvious.
Yeah. That's poor. That is. I mean, because when you're being hit by, because Joshua weighed 240 pounds, that's pushing 18, 19 stone. You can't mess about, and Dave Parris messed about. Sprott's 40 next month. There could have been damage. We saw it a couple of weeks ago with Hopkins that was questionable, and so was that last night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sprott lost 10 years ago to Skelton twice, didn't he? And Joshua knocked out Skelton in the last fight. So, I mean, is this a progression?
No.
Sprott's downhill started when he got sparked out by Audley, wasn't it? That's the problem. Since then, his soul was taken.
That was a shame.
He got cobra'd, and they're just feasting on Audley's leftovers. It's a sham.
Talking about getting cobra'd, George Groves took him 7 rounds to dispatch Dennis Douglin. When he did do it quite emphatically, but I don't know if Paul Smith is only at a point here when he says maybe he's burnt out or he's just missed a step, maybe he's regressed after leaving Adam Booth. I don't know what the story is there.
But lads, it's quite simple. The Cobra's ruined him.
He's been poisoned by the Cobra.
Talking of, just before we got on this, actually, did anybody notice before I think it was before the Gale fight, Sky put on that wee montage about a potential rematch?
Yeah.
That was obviously a set-up for fucking the next pay-per-view, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got to be vacant IBF title next March or April.
Well, they had the little backstage scuffle as well. It's just all playing into the part, isn't it? That's going to be pay-per-view. It's obvious.
Shower of wankers.
Especially if one of them can. I mean, the Gal will probably get a vacant title shot. Groves, Dirrell. I mean, to me, that's looking more a tough fight every day for Groves. To be honest, I mean, Dirrell can punch, and anyone who can punch against Groves, especially in this form, they're going to have a big chance, I think.
Andy, can I go off topic here?
Mm-hmm.
Matchroom, pay-per-view, say, I don't know, next May, let's do the O2. What would be a satisfactory and realistic pay-per-view lineup for you?
Well, you need to ask Rob Palmer. He's the one that likes his lists. Right, who's headlining? So let's say
Wednesday.
O2.
Whenever you want it. When the next pay-per-view for Matchroom, whenever you want it, wherever you want it, but realistic.
You got to have Carl Brook. I mean, Carl Froch's not going
If
to
it's at the O2, you need to have the Gale on it. You need Londoners on it, so you need the Gale,
So
Rose,
the Gale for the vacant IBF.
Joshua.
Gale for the vacant IBF. Brook against someone decent. Joshua British title.
Sir Audley.
Probably
Joshua
would.
Audley, yeah.
Well,
It's Sal's.
Kurt, honestly, I hate that fight. It's horrible.
Kurt will buy it.
I really don't know. I mean, what would be suitable for me is I'd like to see the winner of Chisora Fury, but that's not going to happen because they're next in line for world title shot. So
I think you're more likely to get the loser.
You can scratch that. What about him getting the fight with Shannon Briggs? You know, he would probably sell the show.
Hey, I would much rather that than Vlad fight him.
Lucas Brown.
Yeah.
Who are talking about for Joshua?
For Joshua, aye.
I mean, realistically, I'd still like to see the Price fight as well. I think that's a really good fight. I know people are writing off Price, but this is the first time that a guy is big who can hit back and hit hard as well. So I think that's a good test.
He can hit back, but he won't.
If you're going to have the Gale on the card, that'll be for the vacant IBF title. I think you would be looking at Gilberto Ramirez. I think he's quite high up with IBF.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be really good as well, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I think he was fighting last week actually. Who else you got? You have Groves on that card. And Groves, I mean, Darrell says he isn't going to come to the UK, so you've got to make Sutherland needs to make an option here. They need to force him into taking that fight. Purse bids or go to America, so I can't see that fight happening on that card. So that's maybe Groves off that one. So who else would you have on that? Luke Campbell maybe. Well, he's fighting Coyle next year, isn't he? Who?
Barma Balya, he's got to be on the card, isn't he? Against can they get Marco Hook over? I mean, everyone chases Tony Balya. No, he don't chase nobody.
I don't know. I need time to think about that one, Adam.
No, it's just one we're thinking about, to be honest. And with the stable the size as it is, there's always potential for a domestic clash on there. And then I think when Kell Brook comes back, I think that changes the dynamic a little bit.
I think with the stable as big as it is as well, he's going to do more of these long cards as well, these 5-6 hour cards, especially on pay-per-view. Yeah. And I think after this, he's going to have to make them a bit more better, because 6 hours of that was not good.
No. Yeah, that was terrible. I'm only going to ask you all for a closing statement on that pay-per-view before we move on. But before we do, I was otherwise engaged during the Jimmy McDonnell fight. In my opinion, when I caught the tail end of it, I think Chacon chucked the fight.
He was having a go, but I think McDonnell does make his fights are normally entertaining because he stands in the pocket and he does take a few blows. So he's normally an entertaining scrap sport. He's always fit again, which is a mandatory requirement, but it does show late on in fights, and he does normally steam away late on. We saw that at Wembley where he got a stoppage reasonably late. Obviously he didn't score his own stoppage yesterday, but I think he was starting to take over the fight, and Chacon's, for whatever reason, has seen a route out and he's taken it.
McDonald's just one of those guys that I just don't like watching at all. I mean, does anyone a fan of his at all?
Gabe Lewis is a fan.
I don't mind watching him. I honestly don't mind watching him. I think he's normally active. Like I say, takes a few, gives generally more than what he takes. I wouldn't say he was a boring fighter. He's just one that he needs the opponents to make it happen. And I think if we put him in with a known opponent, I think it would be better for us.
I can take it or leave him. I mean, I wouldn't go back and watch any of his fights for like a laugh or whatever, but I'd watch it if it was on. I mean, I'll probably watch the Kamada fight, obviously, but then Kamada will just kick his ass anyway.
Right,
judging by that.
That's Alex not sitting on the fence with that one. Closing off on that wonderful, stacked, historical pay-per-view undercard. James DeGale smashed Marco Antonio Periban inside 3 rounds. Just before we go into the referee stoppages, I noticed it straight from the off. I think a few of you guys did as well. Periban looked very, very fleshy. Dumped 10 pounds since Wednesday to make the weight. Close to
he looked like death at the weigh-in, to be honest.
Close to a stone in weight.
But he was still overweight as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, we actually was one of the few that saw him re-weighing, and he was still 1.8 over. So when he initially weighed in, he was 2.8 over, and then he was 1.8 over, which was probably about an hour later.
Why didn't they say anything about that when they first weighed him? Like, no one announced it, he's overweight, he's got 2 hours or anything.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, I was tweeting it at the time. There was 2 or 3 fighters that were overweight, and then when I'm going to get mixed up here. There was one fella was 4 ounces over, and they announced it then. Is it Douglin, or have I got that?
Douglin was over as well.
Yeah, so he was 4 ounces over, and they announced that. I mean, you can shit 4 ounces, and then Periban's 2.8 over.
That's where you get anything left to shit, though. That's the thing.
Well, yeah.
Did anybody make the weight last night?
Yeah, the home fighters did. Yeah.
Maybe that's why everyone was so shit. They just didn't make weight and they didn't train.
Anyways, the stoppage, that guy was up on his feet at 4. Okay, maybe he was slightly unsteady, but give the guy a chance. I mean, just take a moment, Howard. Just look at him in his eyes. Ask him to walk to you. If he staggers to you, then fine, stop the fucking fight. Don't just dive in again and stop a fucking fight. He was itching to do it. That's the second time this year he's done it.
That's a good point, Andy. Sorry, can I just say something on British referee stoppages, if you don't mind? I've been analysing these, and last night was a good case in point. I'm thinking that it's not always the ending that's the problem, but it's the way they reach the conclusion. Like you just said, they stop the fight straight away, too quickly, and then they inspect the boxer, go through the motions, but he's already been stopped. If you notice, Howard Foster, as soon as Periban went down, he jumped in and he waved the fight off. Then he let him get up, looked into his eyes, wiped his gloves down, but he'd already stopped it. So even if he was going to let him carry on for getting up from the count, he'd already stopped the fight. That's the problem. It's like Ian John Lewis is the same with his hover stoppage. He does this hover stoppage. He gets in the middle of the fighters. He did it with the Enzo fight. He did it with McCluskey against Corley. Now, I'm not saying McCluskey wasn't gone, because he was, but Ian John Lewis, he intervenes in the front of them. He hovers in front of the fighter, looks into their eyes, and then he's in a no-win situation then. What's he going to do? He's not going to jump out of them and let them fight. Is he? He's got to stop it then.
There's absolutely no benefit to it either. Like, you stop him, they're not going to take. He's not going to take any punishment. He's just getting up. He's clearing his head. He's not going to take any punishment unless you want him to.
Exactly. They need to just wait, not wave the fight off straight away. Just calm their heads, take a deep breath, go through the count, do all them things, and then make a decision. Then make the decision first, and then do everything after.
It's like they're making a snap judgment, but there's no problem with stopping the fight. But like you said, at least get him up, and have a look at him. Look at the ref in the Algeri fight. When Algeri was hurt, the ref asked him to walk forward. He did, but you could see he was quite hurt. But he allowed him to go on. To just stop it like that. I mean, Lewis did it to Enzo Mack. He stopped the fight, and then he realised, shit, he's not hurt at all. And I thought he was.
You could tell after that fight as well, that he knew he had dropped a fucking dodo.
I just think this is what it's like. The stereotype of Germany, you can't win a decision over there, the judges, and it's like the stereotype. I mean, Dave will tell you the stereotype of British refs is that they stop a fight on a punch. One punch, it's over.
Well, Foster was fucking standing over Periban as well. As soon as he went down, he had his hands on his shoulders. He was basically leaning over him. Periban could barely get up as it was anyway. He was already waving his hand in his face. It's a fucking joke. And he needs stopped. And him and fucking Terry O'Connor as well. They both need ousting from the sport. Because they're both a fucking fat, waste of space, and a mess.
I forget what fight it was. I think you and I remember touched upon us just talking about how fit Terry O'Connor is right now, how fat he is. I forget what fight it was, right? But there was water. There was something like water or a big puddle of sweat that started to kind of build up in the centre of a ring of some fight. I forget where. And he told the corner to come in and wipe it up because he was too fucking fat to bend over and do it himself, right? So what happened is they threw the towel into the ring. And he did it with his foot. Did it with his fucking foot. He used his foot as a mop.
Yeah. This is what I don't like. I mean, if you look at other sports, the refs have got to be fit. They stopped Mickey Van from reffing. Look how fit that man is. He can go all night. He keeps himself in great shape. When you got a guy, when this is a sport where lives are at risk, that's not an exaggeration, and you got a guy who weighs, 20 stone? I mean, he's so fat. He might be fit for as fat as he is, but he's not. He can't move about the ring like a slim man would. He's like a Chris Ariara. He probably does a mile of jogging a day, and he says he's fit, but he's not.
Do you know the best thing about Terry O'Connor, I think, is a brummie, which always makes it more satisfying to see a job's worth with a brummie accent.
Dave, seeing as you're an American, do you think Howard Foster would have stopped the bullet that killed JFK?
He would have taken it. He's a fat one as well, isn't he? Well, he's not as fat as O'Connor. But
Howard Foster looked like a ghost.
O'Connor just doubly disgraced himself because he not only proved he's an incompetent ref last night when he stopped Sprott too late and waited too long for that and didn't seem to know what was going on, but then he judges the main event and somehow finds a way to give it to Cleverly.
I know.
He's just... The one thing he's good at is in judging and reffing now.
Shout out to Ross Sutherland for that GFK one, actually. I nicked that one, so I thought it was quite good to slip that one in there. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what the fuck we're going to do with these British referees, mate. It seems to be... Every year, I think this... I can remember at least maybe 3... Was the Brian Rose fight against Marcel? Was that this year? Was that last year? I remember that being...
That was last year.
Last year. That was quite a dodgy stoppage. What was
that was an excellent performance from Brian Rose.
What about Coyle Bruzuela?
Who was that? I'm going to look it up.
Who was the ref for Khan Prescott who tried to let Khan go on?
It was Terry O'Connor.
It was him, weren't it? Khan was just totally gone. He was like, yeah, Khan, I'll give you a chance.
And then it was remember Terry O'Connor actually helped Cleverly back to the...
Cleverly Kovalev,
yeah. Helped him back to the corner to go erased.
I think it's just, they don't seem to be like, I know it's a daft thing to say, but talent pool, there don't seem to be many actual refs. We could probably only name 5 English ones. There don't seem to be many to pick from. And we get, every time there's a Sean Sky, we get the same ref and the same official.
What's happened to Richie Davis? He's now been forced to retire because of the age.
Are there any good ones?
Well, I think Victor Loughlin's no bad, but he doesn't seem to get the big fights.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Mickey Van's still about. He does the Irish scene.
Yeah, I tell you, he was excellent in that Irish spell actually, and you know, look at the way he handled that first fight with Katsides and Graham Errol. The towel came in from, I think it was Errol's corner. He like, fuck this, picked it up and threw it back out, get fighting. He's like
a gamble, wasn't it though?
He's like your version of Steve Smoger. You're dead, keep fighting.
He's good. At least he can move. I mean, is he any more unfit because of his age than Terry O'Connor?
Listen,
exactly.
Seriously though,
he could run a marathon, right? And the only thing Terry O'Connor could do would probably walk 2 feet.
In the British board's eyes, Terry O'Connor's fit to be a ref, but Mickey Van isn't.
I mean, if that towel had came in with Howard Foster and he would have caught it in his teeth, done a little moonwalk and waved it off, wouldn't he, straight away?
Could have wiped the sweat from his fucking sweaty, greasy face.
Just on the Cleverly, what was the score, judge's score that was given to Cleverly? Is it 115, 113?
Yeah.
1-1.
Because if it's clear to the world that Bellew won the last 4 rounds easily, then how far did he have Cleverly winning? What, 7 of the first 8?
Must have given the first seven rounds.
Bloody hell!
Must have. I mean,
it was Steve Gray who did Coyle Brizuela.
Steve Gray ref the main event last night,
and that was chaos. I mean, it would have been difficult for anyone to referee Coyle Brizuela.
Yeah, Gray's okay.
Don't forget the Chisora Malik Scott fight as well. Who's that again?
Richard, that was
Phil Edwards, wasn't he?
Phil Edwards. I was going to say John Keane, but he's retired now. He's actually a judge now. Same with Dave Parris. I mean, I thought Dave Parris was a no bad ref. He wasn't great, but I mean, like I said, I like Richie Davis. I mean, he was the one that kind of sorted out that first fight with Cleverly and Bellew. It was going to descend into a farce. Victor Loughlin's not bad.
I just think, the most damning thing about it is when you see a world title fight over here, and you see either a British ref as the ref or a British ref as the judge, you worry about it straight away, and that's what I think. So I don't know what non-Brits think, but that's what I personally think. I worry straight away.
Dave, you're a non-Brit, mate. What do you think?
I don't even care because whatever happens over there, it usually is irrelevant anyway. I mean, the Scott Quigg fight, for example, who cares? It's nothing. If you want to get him, I mean, it's not that hard to get a guy like that in good fights. He's not that good. You can do better than that.
Wasn't it Dave Parris who stopped Byron Mitchell against Calzaghe when Mitchell was throwing a punch?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, Mitchell was like teetering all over the place, wasn't he?
The Manfredo Calzaghe stoppage was funny as well. If you remember that, I don't know who the ref was.
Oh yes, I do remember that. Manfredo had that big skirt on, didn't he?
Terry O'Connor, I'm sure.
Calzaghe threw about 40 punches, most of them on gloves, and the ref just waved it off.
That's right, yeah.
And Manfredo was like looking at him and saying, "What, are you joking? He's ended around." He just didn't have a clue what was going on.
Terry O'Connor, actually, aye.
Yeah,
that was Terry O'Connor.
That was Terry
Terrible.
O'Connor. The thing is, I mean, I remember Mickey Van did the Saki Obika fight against Calzaghe, and that was a foul fest.
Oh yeah, with Baker involved, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyways, before we move on to Twitter questions, I want your final closing statements on the pay-per-view. Adam.
Same as what I said last night, to be honest. Which I forgot. Not good enough. And if the main event was a barnstormer, then it could have saved the day. It was far from that, and it was a terrible, terrible main event. Shocking in terms of quality and action. Poor.
Kurt.
Frank Warren's upcoming card takes a big shit in Eddie Hearn's hands while he claps.
Dave, you never paid for it, mate. I don't know if you actually watched much of it, but give me your thoughts.
I watched the first couple fights, and then I watched the main event this morning, which was pretty poor. Really, it's kind of what I've been used to from those British cards. I mean, being pay-per-view, doesn't matter to me because I stream everything from Europe anyway, because there's no other way for us to watch it. Well, I guess there's like some obscure ways, but I don't know. I just stream them.
It was on OTV last night. And another channel.
Like
Whose other channel was showing
Wealth
it?
TV or something?
Well, no, it was another channel, mate. Is it BN Sports? I think BN Sports were showing it.
Right.
It's more or less what I've been used to, but I mean, it wasn't good. The main event, like somebody said last night on the Drunk podcast, was the main event could have saved it, but it did the opposite. It was shameful.
I mean, the standard of the main event, which is what everyone was mostly there for, when you got one guy 15% connect and the other guy 14% connect, and I think Bell, you said afterwards, he threw over 900 punches, and he said, "Well, some of them might have missed." I mean, 900 punches, 860 missed. I mean, the standard was, it was like two drunk blokes, what you'd see, outside on a Friday night in the town centre. Even they hit them more than often than them two, though.
Alex,
it's going to be vicious, mate.
Good one, Dave. Alex, give me your closing thoughts.
If you paid 17 quid for that, I hope you get Ebola.
Listen,
it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
And I have no sympathy for anyone who actually paid for that and now complain about it. We've warned you for months on end. People told us to give it a break, enjoy the fights, buy a tinny. Listen,
I'd rather stare at Frank Maloney's creature face than watch that pay-per-view ever again, to be honest. Just thinking about it.
That looked like an extra orc out of Lord of the Rings, that picture.
Fucking John Merrick, Elephant Man.
Steve, I know you never paid for it, mate, but you're practically on the same side as us, as I think. That was a shit card all round.
Yeah, it was pretty poor fare. The main event was terrible, and it was one of those ones where you couldn't defend it from any level. I mean, sometimes you get people saying, "Oh, I buy the pay-per-view because it's going to be a brilliant main event. Never mind about the undercard." Well, that's not a tick in the box. And then other people say, "Oh, yeah, if it's going to be a stacked undercard, that makes it a brilliant show altogether. I'll justify paying it." That didn't tick the box either. So, I mean, it doesn't really have much going for it. Hopefully, Matchroom and Sky can knock their heads together and work out what went wrong.
Well, the only shining beacon of light in a fog of absolute shit was probably Mario Balotelli sitting at ringside with his top off, drinking out a bottle of champagne.
Birds.
With the birds running about with the ringside girls, that was probably the most shining moment of the card.
Are you sure that picture is real?
I don't know, mate. If it is. So was that
I think it is.
Was a bottle of Cristobal with his top off? Is that right?
There's other pictures of him there as well. Yeah. He obviously got bored very quickly and started chatting to the girls, didn't he? You can blame him.
Well, I mean,
I thought
and
the
it worked
shining
as well
moment,
because
the shining moment of the card was the Cobra ringside making astute commentary.
Yes, very much the case, and I'm glad you've said that. You put on an excellent performance last night.
Well, he was awful. He was. You've been Cobra. What a fucking fanny.
I nearly fell off my chair when he said that. I loved it.
I missed that. What was that? Sorry, what was that?
He was talking about the Groves fight. I think he's just basically saying. I think Paul Smith had said that. I think he's looking kind of burnt out and stuff. I think Smith was trying to actually big him up because he got wiped out off him in 2 rounds. And Groves just Froch just says, "I don't think he's tired. I just think he's been cobra'd." Like Nishan Booty.
Deadly serious as well.
It was also deadly serious when he said that. I think the rest of the panel will agree with me that De Gale beats Groves every day of the week, and they looked a bit plain-faced.
Anyways, very briefly, from Japan on Saturday, very early doors, Roman Gonzalez defended his world flyweight title against Rocky Fuentes. 6-round stoppage, 3-punch combination, pretty brutal. And Takahashi Miura defended his WBC super featherweight title against Edgar Puerta. 6-round stoppage. I haven't seen the fights, I only saw the Gonzalez stoppage. But on that note, we'll go on to our Twitter questions. Thanks again to our listeners again for sending in these questions. We've got a shitload to get through, so we'll dive right into it. This one comes in from Dean Jackson. Question for the pod. Given Chairgate, what's the worst thing / funniest thing you have seen at an event? Adam?
The worst thing I've personally seen at an event might not be a famous incident to you guys, but the Magnificent Seven Bill Frank Warren in Birmingham a few years ago now, there was some serious problems in the crowd, particularly between Frankie Gavin fans and Enzo Macquinelli fans, and it was serious trouble. That's the worst thing I've seen in a live stadium.
What's your question, mate?
My question is Seamus Macklin. Discuss.
The hair.
He needs to, I was going to say the hair needs to get. He needs an Alice band in
the hair is shocking,
minimum.
but how has he managed to? What has he done to qualify to be the trainer of fighters, including Bradley Saunders, that was an Olympian, now training out of MGM Marbella?
It's his manager, isn't it? Is he not part of his management group or something, Steve?
The MGM Marbella, I'm not really sure what's going on over there. They're not having a good run of it at the moment anyway. No. Seamus boxed as an amateur, as far as I know. He was always around Macklin's fights back in the day, and then all of a sudden, he's come to the fore as a trainer. I'm not sure about his credentials as a trainer, but he's a decent enough guy to talk to. But yeah, you would think you'd maybe need someone with more experience in some of the corners of guys like Saunders, like you said, Olympian, being trained by a guy with sketchy background.
Yeah.
This one comes in from Rocco. I'll go to you, Kurt, with this one. It's a heavyweight question. Do you think Briggs versus Vlad happens? You can't just stop chasing him. He's got to keep pulling more extreme stunts till he gets the fight or not.
No, I said it before. I don't think it will happen. I know Bert Bante said it could be possible in the future, but I just don't think Vlad will stay around that long, and he'll want to try and get the best possible opponents he can. I mean, he'll want the Fury Chisora winner. He want the Stavern Wilder winner. I mean, those are two fights right there. So personally, I don't think it will happen. If it does, he should be criticised, in my opinion.
Michael Lawler asking. I think this is more a statement of fact, actually. Question for the pod. Is that fat fucking Terry O'Connor? How is he allowed near a ring? Terrible ref, shit judge, and a fat fucking mess to boot. It's not so much a question, I suppose. It's more a statement of fact.
Agree.
It's a bit nasty.
Agree. Simple as that.
Tony needs to get that copyrighted, actually. Rocco's got another question here as well. It says... oh, fuck. Question, Dave, I'll go to you. Put yourself in Jermaine Taylor's shoes. Would you rather do 26 years in jail or 12 rounds with Golovkin?
Well, it wouldn't be 12 rounds, so I'll take the Golovkin fight.
Good answer.
He could always take a dive off a jab, can't he, in the first round, and just get out of there with his, what left of his health intact, I suppose.
Yep. Another one from Rocco. I'll go to you, Alex. Question, this trend of B-Hop Algeri of letting fighters finish the 12 rounds when well behind and getting hurt, who is to blame? Should it continue? See, well, I can't understand what he's saying there, because if that was an amateur fight, actually, do you take those two fights on its own? If that was an amateur fight, that would have been stopped.
Yeah, but it's professional ranks, isn't it? And
yeah.
you've got to consider it as like Hopkins. He's been the distance lows. He knows what he's doing. He wasn't particularly damaged or hurt until the 12th round in that fight in particular. Algeri, yeah, you could have argued it had been stopped. But, we're always arguing that fights are being stopped too soon, aren't we? We're always saying that referees are jumping in. I think they should be given the chance. Sometimes you just know that in Algeri's case, he didn't have the punch to put Manny away. He was just going the distance. What is there a point of it going the distance? I mean, it matters to some fighters as well. They don't. I mean, that Otaki against Quigg last night, he barely won a round, but it wouldn't have been fair to him to stop the fight, would it?
I mean, thought they were actually to stop that fight actually on that cut.
Yeah, I mean
that was.
Yeah, who was the ref for that? Was it Foster again?
I think it was. Anybody confirm that again?
I think it was.
Sure. But to be honest, I mean, the thing with that is that's what makes boxing, so different to other sports. In other sports, in football, for instance, if you're 5-0 down with like 1 minute to go, the match is over. People are leaving. In boxing, you could be down 11 rounds, but you've still got a chance. Algeri, no one expects him to get a knockout in the last round, but we've seen it many times where a guy can produce a last round. Look at Chavez against Martinez. He never got the win, but that's just the beauty of boxing, in my opinion. And if fighters can still carry on. I think they should be allowed to, no matter, if the guy's stinking out the joint. Well, it's up to the other guy to be good enough to stop that and get him out there. And if he's not, well, that's up to him.
Yeah, they should be given the chance. And I mean, it's unfair to the fight as well just to stop it because they're not doing very well. Because it counts against them. A loss as well as a KO loss looks bad on their record as well. It makes them seem a bit worse than maybe they actually are. So I think they should always be given. Obviously, take every case by case. If his face is completely fucked up, he's got 2 swollen eyes and a broken jaw, then yeah, maybe you should stop it. But
looking like fucking Frank Maloney just now, basically.
Well, yeah,
like he just made the end of a golf club.
But if it's just a schooling or then let it carry on. There's no reason to stop it early. These men know what they're doing.
I don't know if this is the real Robert Mugabe, but he's asking the question: do you think Eddie Hearn has an obligation to apologise to the fans for that event because it was shockingly bad?
No, that won't happen. No way, won't happen.
Do you think he should?
I bet it's an obligation. The guy's asking: has he got an obligation to apologise for that? Because he told us the proof will be in the pudding. He said that 3 or 4 times to us. And,
yeah, but his proof's going to be a lot different to our proof, isn't it?
All of you, everybody out there who bought it knew what it was. I mean, it's not Eddie's fault that the main event turned out to be crap. I mean, those two should be ashamed of what they did. I mean, Eddie, I don't think this is a good part or anything special put on by Eddie, and I don't think he should be proud of it. But I don't think he owes anyone an apology. They bought this shit.
See the people that phoned in last night to the after show. Actually, I've never heard so much depression in the person's voice. It was like they were ready to just jump off the bridge with a rope running about their neck.
It's no one held a gun to their heads, and no one, you didn't go in there blind. You knew what you was getting. You saw the fights, and you made a decision, buy it or not. We said on here, for a while it's shit, and we're not going to pay for it, whatever. We were right this time, but you just never know. And some people probably thought, well, just this fight might be good, value cleverly might be good, so they bought it. And in the end, they're probably feeling a bit silly today, but no doubt, next pay-per-view they'll be in the same position. They'll say they won't buy it, and then the last minute they might cave in again. It's just, that's what Sky Hype can do.
It's a disgrace. What else we got here? Richard Shamma. Steve, I'll go to you, mate. Here's a question. When will Howard Foster stop being shit? Teraband up at 4, for fuck's sake. Well, we've already covered that, really, haven't we?
Well, yeah, I've already had my say about poor old Howard, I think. Till they find somebody better. It's a small talent pool, isn't it? They're obviously happy with Foster and keep chucking him back out there. Who else is there?
Foster looks like he needs a good holiday. He looked like a ghost last night. I think he needs to go to the Caribbean for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but to be honest, you probably, when you get a fight and you see Foster as your referee, you're probably thinking maybe he can get a dodgy stoppage here and I can end up like Groves and get a $2 million payday in the rematch or something.
Colm is asking, he's got 2 questions for us. Kurt, the first one I'll put to you. In what round would Joshua KO Vladimir?
I'm not even going to answer that. Dignify it.
Dave, in between what round would Rigo retire against Quigg?
Yeah, forget it.
Jack Rathbone's asking the question. You think Algeri is given a world title shot immediately if he moves back down in weight? How do you see him against like say Garcia or Matisse? Well, I think he keeps that WBO title at light welterweight, is that right? Because I think if he'd won last night, he would need to have vacated the 140 title because that's WBO rules. I think he keeps the title just now.
He boxed Matisse's head off, I think.
I think he's a tough fight for a lot of these guys. He's not got a good style, I know that, but it's just his style. I mean, Provodnikov, I think I'd like to see the rematch of that fight, to be honest, because I think he might have took him lightly. Thought he was just a guy who was going to fold under his power, but he took his power and he was hurt early, but he got over it. And obviously, I thought deserved the decision quite comfortably in the end. But I mean, he's going to fancy himself against those type of punchers because he's going to always believe his movement will get him out of trouble. I mean, Pacquiao's obviously a different kind of fighter to someone like Matisse, but I think he'll fancy his chances, and I don't think people look forward to fighting him because his style can make him look bad for a few rounds.
Put him in with Herrera. It's 2 guys no one wants to fight.
He should get a rematch against Garcia.
Oh yeah, he's deserved that since. But no, Rod Salka was more important.
Oh aye. No, that fight of the year candidate. Absolute brilliant fight. Jack Rathbone's asking again, who shall I go to with this one? I'll go to Alex. Which fighter coming up in weight has the best shot against Pacquiao? Broner, Crawford, or Mikey Garcia, or any other fighter?
Well, not Broner. That's for a start. Crawford or Mikey Garcia are very good choices. They're probably the best of the two.
Crawford.
Crawford looks the better of the two. He's had a really good year so far. Mikey's just done absolutely fuck all this year. Literally fuck all. I'm really quite high on Mikey Garcia. I think he's a exceptional talent, but is he moving up a bit too far to fight Pacquiao? I think Crawford has definitely got the size to really make waves in those weights, and at welterweight and light welterweight definitely. But Garcia, he's planning to go up to those weights, but will his power carry? Will he be as impactful? And I don't think he will be able to trouble Pacquiao as much as Crawford would at this stage. So I would say Crawford, but you wouldn't pick any of them confidently to beat Pacquiao.
I don't know. Those three opponents, though, which would you want to see most? I think Broner, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, just to see him absolutely iced. I remember. Anybody remember Donny saying that Mikey Garcia was getting groomed to take over the mantle of Pacquiao? Did anybody remember that?
Yeah, that's up there with his Seth Mitchell hype.
Christ almighty, man. Robert McGabby's got another question in here. Steve, I'll go to you, mate. Which route do you think Hearn will take Bellew for that world title? Because I know 3 out of the 4 champions will school him. So that's Lebedev, that is it Drodza, Huck, and Hernandez. So out of those... Afalabi, well...
Will there be a WBA International, Ocean... Asia, Pacific, some kind of title.
Some kind of interim and just play it off as a world title or something. I don't fancy his chances against them. Afalabi beat him, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think it would be the WBA uranium title we need to go for, actually.
Well, Lebedev's the WBA actual champion, so it's not going to be him. But Hernandez, I like Hernandez. I know he's a bit vulnerable, but going forward, he's a really skilled fighter.
It's just his gas tank, though, eh? Yeah,
exactly. That's what I mean. He's a little bit fragile, a little bit brittle. But saying that, his gas tank's bad, but he always seems to find a way just to sneak through Hernandez. But he'd have too much skill for Bellew. Bellew's nowhere near on Hernandez's level ability-wise.
His gas tank's not very good either.
Exactly. I mean, once they get past the 6th round, whose gas tank's going to flip and hold up between the two of them? That could end up. That's going to be vicious, mate. You know what I mean? Could you imagine that? And this other guy, Drozd, it's going to have to be him, I suppose. But where's Tony in the WBC? Let me have a look. 4th.
I think Huck will be dredging at the weights, though, mate. I ain't a man.
I don't know. I don't fancy him against any of them. I put him behind all of those names that you mentioned. I wouldn't fancy him to beat any of them, even Drozd.
The champions are strong champions, in my opinion. That's very tough. If Bellew beat one of them, I think he deserves full credit, but I can't see him doing it myself.
What about Machunu?
No, he'd make him look silly. He'd school him.
No, he'd be schooled.
He would maybe fight Machunu, wouldn't he? Like, to get an eliminator or something. Or he's got Makabu and Chakiev around there as well. I don't even think Bellew would have it handy against any of them ahead of him in the rankings, let alone the champions. They're going to have to try and sneak him in through the back door.
I'd still give Arthur McKenzie a shot against him in a brilliant third fight.
Well, there you go, yeah.
I'm just looking through the rankings just now, actually.
And Carlos Gomez, he's number 8 with the WBC. Is that the...
Is he still going?
Yeah.
And the WBA.
He was about 280 pounds about 2 years ago. I remember he had a heavyweight fight.
Fuck's sake.
I just hopefully Huck hangs around long enough to get that fight, because I didn't want him fighting that. Is it Krzysztof Golacki or that Pete the Pole will call him?
Yeah, but Jean-Marc Mormec's back at cruiserweight. He's fighting someone soon. Someone check that out, because he's fighting in a biggish fight for him.
Hang on, I'll just find it.
Make that with Bellew, and he'll be saying he can beat Vlad if he wins.
Oh, he's fighting Masternak. Masternak was one who got beat off Hernandez. It's a 10-rounder. It's start of December, actually. So it's actually next week.
Was that him who fought Kalenga, Masternak, no?
Masternak.
He fought Yuri Kalenga on Eurosport or something?
He did, he got beaten a split decision, aye.
Kalenga holds the WBA regular, doesn't he, or interim?
Aye, I think he won in Canada the other week there, or last week, I think.
Right.
So,
hard to keep up with all of this, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, it's torture, mate. Last question before we bring in the now world-esteemed and well thought of Value of the Week award. I'm actually going to rename it the Tony Award.
Tony.
The Carrot of the Week?
The Carrot of the Week award. Oh, Christ, we'll leave that for a little bit later. Last question, I'll go to everyone. I just want to see if anybody take Bellew's advice. Did you bring a pillow? Because you fucking needed it last night, lads.
I could have slept on a concrete floor, to be honest, during that shit.
Pillow should have been smothered over his face after the 12th round.
You slept on a fucking bed of nails, actually, and slept soundly with that shit last night.
Yep, could have been cat and sheep on a bed of nails, easy. All that just makes it all more laughable, all that talk that went into it, and you just serve that shit up, I mean. I'm
going to do worse than Kovalev, mate. I'm going to do worse than Kovalev.
So, none of you were at all happy for Tony to finally get his revenge? Like, I mean, it's a big moment for him.
Yeah, I mean,
it was the worst kind of revenge, though, wasn't it? He was like, "Yeah, I got revenge. I landed, 40 shots out of 900, and against a one-armed fighter who can't punch." I mean, he just didn't. I don't know. Both of them just come out. I think they both stuck scores way down, to be honest.
He said that in his opinion, that's the story closed, right? Okay, fair enough, but it's 1-1. How's the story closed? 1-1. I didn't even want to see it at this either. Don't even bother with it. Don't even bother. Even the Millennium Stadium, don't even fucking think about it, because you couldn't even sell out one of the conference rooms. Millennium Stadium.
I'll tell you what, though, if Balyu does get a title shot soon and he gets blasted out, you could see the third fight happening, because where else can any of them go? Both retire on that, I reckon.
Yep. Anyways, you know what's coming next, lads. Tony is well aware of what's coming next also. We've actually had a wee amendment into the intro this week, so if you bear with us a second here, Kurt will get the show on the road.
Okay, what's the value?
Now you fucking rat!
Okay, what's the value of the week?
Well, so I need to explain again what the Belly of the Week award is. I think Tony needs an explanation here. Nah, I think he knows. Anyways, guys, I've got at least 9 nominations this week. It's been absolutely hectic, obviously with the pay-per-view bills and stuff, and some of the comments getting made during the week. It's been quite busy. I've actually had to get back into training again. I think Tony Bellew called me out the other night there, actually. I was shitting my pants.
If you've got anything to fucking say it to his fucking face.
Dave's right. I think we need to shout out to Coogan Cassius for mentioning to Tony. We did ask him to ask, and he did that. He stayed true to his word, so cheers for that, Coogie Bear. First nomination up this week goes to Kubrat Pulev. Now, he says after the Klitschko fight, Pulev said he's a good opponent, but he was lucky. I will win next time. Don't do drugs. Nicky Piper, I think he says, I think this is on Ringside, I forget what day it was, he says that on the pay-per-view card, it's a brilliant night full of competitive matches.
And then he went to talk about the fights and didn't know any of the opponents, didn't he?
Didn't know what Scott Quigg's opponent's name was.
Yeah. George Groves, on a rematch with the Gale. If it's a unification fight with the Gale, with the history we've got, it'd be the biggest fight ever. It would far eclipse what me and Froch did. That's bad. Adam Smith, the commentator, not our Adam Smith. Sklotchka is a world-class operator. He's only fought at world level once.
It's just... They say that about anyone that you can go up and face a world title holder, lose every single minute of every single round, and then suddenly you're on world-class level, aren't you? I mean, it's a sorry state, really.
Who's up next? Obviously, well, Tony Bellew's actually got 2 nominations this week. The first one is for he was asked if he was going to chase the Marco Hook fight, and he says, "Listen, mate, I ain't chasing no one. They're chasing me. I'm the money fight."
That was more Liam Gallagher, I thought.
Was it? I tried my best. Max Kellerman. He was heard referring to Vasily Lomachenko as the Willie Pep with power before the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. Antonio Tarver, this is number 8, explained why he could be part of one of the biggest fights in the UK's history. He says that if I fought Tyson Fury in the UK, it would be the biggest fight in British boxing history. Fucking prick. Nick Holland, this one's a belter. Nick Holland, I only found this out because someone tweeted it to me because he's actually blocked me on Twitter for some reason. How many world heavyweights would you rate above Anthony Joshua right now? Name 10. Hell, name me 5. Scary how good he might prove to be.
Nick Halling probably couldn't name 10 heavyweights. He's a fucking idiot.
I wish Nick Halling would start hyping Joshua a bit, for God's sake. Get behind our own, for fuck's sake.
Now, obviously, I didn't even know where to start with this final nomination. It goes to Tony Bellew again for that video interview he gave to iFilm London about the Bellew the Week award. Can anyone remember any snippets or comments he came out with there? Your podcast with a carrot. You know, it's quite funny, for instance, that he didn't know what the actual podcast was or what the segment was, but then obviously he knew it's got a Scottish presenter.
He ran for 2 hours.
He came out and says, "I say some outlandish shit." So obviously he knows that this is what the award's all about, you know.
His fart gets more views than our podcasts.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I've never
That wasn't me, by the way, but I get blamed for that. Say again, Dave.
I've never once seen Tony fart.
Just watched his fight last night.
Yeah, that was a big watery, skithery one down the back of the leg, that one.
Andy, I've got a couple.
Okay, mate, fire away.
Halling said last night about George Groves that he's an elite world level super middleweight. So, I mean, even from a Froch lover, he might not have even been beat by an elite world super middleweight. So how does that make George Groves one? And Rio Ferdinand, he said, I'll get it up in a sec actually. My second one was McDonald said the announcer said at the weigh-in Friday, Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Sport promised, and they have delivered.
What a shitfest!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they promised. Let me just get the Rio Ferdinand one up. It was excellent. It was in regard to the Joshua fight. Joshua has the Mike Tyson ferociousness going. ... give him a Klitschko now, bypass the locals.
Which Klitschko though? Vitaly
Well,
or Vlad?
But they probably need bloody cousin Klitschko.
What about Eddie Hearn, where he said it was a decent undercard. The main event didn't live up to the hype, but the production was good.
Oh god, was it something to do with the lighting and the set and the flowers in the
lighting
corner?
was excellent.
Did you see those fireworks?
You said the atmosphere was awesome. Listen, apart from maybe the entrances, which weren't all that exactly emotional and ecstatic and electric and stuff.
How can they have the temerity to put adverts on in between? That's what I want to know. If you're paying as it is for a pay-per-view, how can they put adverts on in between the rounds? That's like another kick in the balls.
That's what I like about HBO and Showtime. You get to hear what the trainers are saying. You get to see the replays of the action as well, the big shots. And Sky just take you away. It's just...
That's a good thing that Box Nation does. I think they actually maybe listen to the fans when they mentioned that right at the start of because they used to go away to the break and stuff. But I think they've done the right thing actually and kind of kept it in the ring. Because you want to hear what gets said in between rounds and stuff,
Yeah.
Any other nominations, lads? I mean, it's a stacked card. I mean, the
Tyson Fury comments. What did he say?
Oh, he said he's sitting in his gym and he's got a mural on his wall like Ali, Jack Johnson, Jack
Lewis.
Dempsey, Joe Lewis, and I think he then turns around and says they don't say something along the lines as that Eddie Chambers is better or something.
Tongue in cheek, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's on the wind up. Isn't he?
Yeah, he's got to be the wind up.
I got two from the card in Macau. Before the fight, before the main event started, Roy Jones said, he is so popular that if he were to lose, my 6-year-old son would have to be hospitalized. Talking about Pacquiao. And then, of course, Tim Lane, obviously, for his continuous amusement that he provided us throughout the fight. I mean, the timing of his interview with Kellerman and then the immediate hard knockdown of his own man was brilliant.
Yeah, I think Tim Lane needs to get thrown in there for those comments in between rounds and stuff. It's time to light out the cage. Seventh round, I think he says, we're exactly where we want to be. Losing every round.
He kept saying, we'll just get through the next 4 rounds, and then it was, we'll just get through the next 4 rounds, and then after 3 sets of 4 rounds, the fight was over.
It was round 11, and right before round 11, he says, all right, you ready for round 2 now? Because, apparently the previous part had been round 1. It had just been a precursor. I guess the post-fight presser was round 3, and when Pacquiao went to sleep at night, he declared victory.
To be honest, who was Kelly Pavlik's trainer again? Was it Lowe? Jack Lowe. Jack Lowe. Now, his comments in that Hopkins fight was abysmal. Jab and come with a hook.
That's what he said. Fucking jab.
That's what he says the whole fucking fight. That last night was an absolute disgrace. He should have his license suspended for that shit last night.
It was just terrible.
It was just corny, wasn't it?
It was just there was no tactics at all. It was just just get through it. You're going to probably get knocked down again in the next round, but just get up and just move about a bit. Just have you ever seen the film Mike Bassett, England Manager, where he just tells the players, just go on the pitch, just do what you want, just go about, just run about a bit, just at least look a bit interested.
Cleverly's going to be hooking up with Tim Lane now.
Well, Nathan Cleverly, as you mentioned that actually, he wants a trilogy fight in the Millennium Stadium. As that says, he'll be lucky to sell out a conference room in that shithole.
Can I make an honorary mention? It's the first time I've seen her in action, but I've heard a lot about it on the website. Pacquiao's mother.
Oh,
have you seen that Fruit Loop running about?
Doing
I remember the Bradley fight.
Bradley fight. Yeah.
In the Bradley fight, she was cursing Tim with her little finger. She was pointing it at him.
She was
with
doing
an evil face.
head case.
This fight. There's a picture of her with her hiding behind one of her hands, pointing at fucking Algeri, doing her little curse words and shit. She's a fucking mental.
In her handbag, she's got skulls. She's got the potions. She's a freak.
She's got a face like a melted candle today. She's been sitting next to the fire for too long.
Put her next to Kelly Maloney in a lineup. You wouldn't know who's who, would you?
Fuck's sake.
Dionysia Pacquiao. Let's get her name now.
What's her name?
Why were they showing her? They kept on focusing in. She even got her name on the little thing at the bottom of the screen, and I was like...
She just adds a bit of comedy value, I suppose.
She's fucking weird, mate.
She had her little, rosary beads,
Yeah, she's quite scary, I think.
She was praying with Manny before the fight, weren't she? She was like banging down, praying with him.
Apparently, she's well pissed off with Manny because they go to a different church now or something, or different denomination of like Christianity or whatever.
It's a Catholic, is he not?
I can't remember what he is, but she's like something different to him, and obviously she's a fucking nutcase, judging by all the voodoo shit she does.
She may be Opus Dei then.
She might be cursing her son then if she's angry with him. Maybe she was trying to push all her powers into Algeri. Got him through the fight.
She was like sprinkling some fucking, I guess, holy water on him before the fight, and Manny was like trying to tell her to fuck off or something. He was getting a bit ratty about it. But she was like doing a weird sort of ritual to Manny before the fight. It's just fucking weird.
On the next 24/7, I'd love to see her and Freddie Roach have a bit of a discussion. That would be pretty funny, I think.
Kurt, I think you've got a late nomination coming in here from a couple of weeks back. You want to put in?
Yeah, I mean, we maybe never did Value of the Week that week, maybe because we was pushed for time. But Roy Jones and his comment about Bernard Hopkins when he's an old slick coon, I think he said. I mean, it was very strange comment.
It was very nonchalant as well, wasn't it? It was just like, oh yeah, he's a slick old coon.
It was just straight. It was a strange comment, and no one really.
Straight-faced.
Yeah, Jim never said, "Pardon, Roy," or I mean, and they just passed him by. I don't know what he was talking about, to be honest. But
could you imagine like Dave Darts or fucking Gary Newborn on Sky? You probably like cut the commercial break or something like that if that shit got said on Sky.
They calling me, excuse the language.
Oh, exactly, aye. Fucking
they call him, oh, he's a strange old honky, is Nathan Cleverley.
Adam, I forgot to ask you, mate, what was the opening odds for Bellew to win it this week?
Sorry, well, I mean, there's been a few this week, but through pure output, Bellew, I mean, the book's not even open. It's closed.
Well, that being the case, I'll just read out the nominations again. We have as follows: Kubrat Pulev, Nicky Piper, George Groves, Tony Bellew, the fake Adam Smith, Max Kellerman, Antonio Tarver, Nick Holland, Nathan Cleverley, Pacquiao's mum, Jesus Christ our Lord. Who else we got? Papa Shango.
Tim Lane, don't forget Tim Lane.
Tim Lane, sorry. Tim Lane.
Roy
Who
Jones.
else? Roy Jones. I tell you this. Listen, this pay-per-view of the week this week is more stacked than the pay-per-view. The thing is, we'll be providing quality, not compared to last night.
Consistent quality.
When we say it's stacked, we mean stacked, not a shitfest.
Not a shitfest. So, Adam, give me your winner this week.
I really want to vote for Bellew for obvious reasons, and he has really hated on the pod. But Algeri's trainer was shocking, so I'm going to vote for him.
Kurt?
Yeah, I've got to go for Tony for his personal attack on this podcast. How dare you?
Dave?
I'm going with Tim Lane. I thought he provided by far the most amusement to me all weekend with that timing of his silly comments.
2-1 to Tim Lane, so I thought it'd been a whitewash this week. But Alex, give me your vote, mate.
See, I was going to go with Bellew because, it was quite a heavy in his favour. But then after last night, I don't think he deserves the honour. He doesn't deserve the pleasure of receiving this award from us. He's already got it named after him, which I think is very unworthy now because he's just a complete prick. So I'm just going to go for Mummy Pacquiao because she scares the shit out of me.
Steve?
It's a strong lineup this week, isn't it?
I think it's the strongest in history so far.
It is. It's a stacked card. This is what I call a stacked card.
8 months this has been on the go for, and we've now got world-renowned exposure.
It's not even pay-per-view.
Once Mummy Pacquiao hears of this, our Skype connection will be getting flattened, trust me.
We're not asking for £17 for this shit. We're bringing this to you for free.
I'm wavering. I was going to go for Rio, but I'm sort of going to let him off because it's not really his fault that he's a bit of a knobhead. So I'm between Tim Lane and Mama Pacquiao, but I'm going to have to go for Mama Pacquiao because her antics are just Mama Pacquiao.
So listen, this could be a three-way split this week. We've got 2 for Mama Pacquiao, we've got 2 for Tim Lane, and you've got 1 for Bellew. So I've got to decide and vote by the looks of it. Who should I give it to, lads?
Andy, after all the hoopla about Bellew of the week, and it's been really a coming out week for the Bellew of the week, and not before time, it's really gathered some pace. We can't let it pass without giving Bellew at least a share of the award.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Come on.
Yeah.
Tony's getting my vote, so that's the three-way split. We'll give Tony the Emirates Championship this week because he just went the full booner with that video rant. We'll give the regular title to Tim Lane because he was so close to winning it, and we'll give the interim title to Mama Pacquiao.
Agree.
And I just think, if Coogan's listening, can he interview Mama Pacquiao and let's see her reaction. I want to see a voodoo person.
So, to gentlemen, Mr. Bellew and Mr. Lane and that whatever that is, that woman.
The euthanasia.
Can you direct any curses to Ben Wiseman?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. You are our three-way winner of the Bellew of the Week award.
Woo! Well done, Tony. You got a title this weekend anyway.
No, I think she made history, though. Isn't that the first woman we've had? Yeah,
I think it is actually.
Did Kelly Maloney not win it now?
I think Kelly.
Kelly did.
Yeah, was she legally a woman at that point?
I don't think she still is, but I think Kelly should have been in this week for that picture. I mean, that picture, she don't need to say nothing.
Oh god, that was frightening.
It's a poor state of affairs when at the weekend of a pay-per-view and a Pac-Man fight, the most entertaining boxing element is the Bellew of the Week.
How true.
Brilliant.
I actually checked back. Actually, it was 8 months ago. We were talking about actually kind of revitalising the pod, and I came up with this idea. And I think I forget how far back it was. Maybe 2 or 3 months ago, Adam. I think you'd actually asked the question. You think Tony's aware of this award? I think he was well aware before that. He's just trying to play dumb that he didn't know.
I think at Christmas we should send a carrot and engrave it with Bellew's name to Matchroom headquarters.
Oh, I like that idea.
It's like we spent months, didn't we, wondering whether Tony was aware of it, but now we're going to spend months wondering whether Mama Pacquiao is aware of it.
But lads, I'm the closest. I live the closest to Bellew, so I'm just worrying that he might come and knock on my door and ice me.
Were you not shitting yourself at that weigh-in? Because you were asking me for comments and for Bellew of the Week, so me and Kurt are sending you all these comments and Alex and stuff. Did anybody actually ask you about it?
I tweeted as many people as I could. I tried to include Coogan and the likes. Obviously, I knew I wasn't going to speak to Bellew, but I tweeted as many as I could, and just so I was ready if anyone said anything, but they didn't. And if I'd have got the press pass accreditation, then I'd have been able to go close up at the weigh-in, and then I definitely would have caught up with someone. But no, just a point on weigh-ins. I'm not going off topic, but the crap now for where they say open to the public. Obviously, me and my mate went as members of the public, but you couldn't hardly see anything because there's a strip. Obviously, where the scales are, then there's like the little area for the press, like like a gig almost, where you obviously the public don't go right up to the stage. A little fence, but inside inside where the public area kind of ends, where the barrier starts. There's just a stand of all the cameramen, so you can hardly see anything as a member of the public. I won't be booking days off to go to a weigh-ins again, to be honest. There must have been 6, 7, 8 maybe cameramen, and they're not just they're stood up as well on a platform. You can hardly see anything. It's poor.
So moving on, we've got our upcoming card next week. It's quite a good, solid lineup actually next week. Believe it or not, better than the shitfest that was served up to us last night. We'll go to the British card firstly. Frankie Gavin, Bradley Skeet obviously may be a bit of a snoozer. Gary Sykes, Liam Walsh. That fight was meant to be rumoured to be off. It still seems to be on according to BoxRec so far, so we'll wait and see. Apparently Walsh was struggling with the weight.
I know it don't mean much, but Box Nation are advertising the Sykes and Walsh fight.
Oh, it's on then, it's on.
Yeah, it's definitely on. Contract signed. It's on.
Frank says it, I take it.
Posters printed.
Just to let the listeners know, as we will be doing another live show after the Box Nation card next week, obviously the Chisora Fury fight, but the one fight we're all looking forward to. Kurt, you mentioned to me yesterday if I'd heard anything about Eubank requesting his purse be advanced before the fight or it's getting called off. Did you manage to find out anything more on that?
Well, yeah, it came from actually Eddie Hearn himself. He said that that's what they were asking for. They wanted the purse by Wednesday, I believe, and if it wasn't paid, they were not going to fight. That video now, I think it was a seconds out interview. It's been taken down, and someone asked Frank about it on Twitter. Frank doesn't run the Twitter account, but obviously someone representing.
I think it's Andy Eiling who does that.
Yeah, and they said basically it's a load of shit, and the fight's on. I mean, who knows? But that's what Eddie said. I mean, whether Eddie's just doing it to stir the pot a bit, I don't know. But we'll soon see at the weigh-in, I suppose.
I really like Saunders, but as this fight's got closer, I'm starting to kind of sway myself that maybe Eubank's got this because I don't think Saunders actually lives the boxer lifestyle. He's not an athlete compared to like what Eubank is. And I know Eubank hasn't got the names in his resume compared to what Saunders has done, or he hasn't got the pedigree like Saunders has had. But
he's in great shape for this one now.
Yeah, but
saw the pictures of him.
He can't be a one-fight athlete though. No. Stamina's built up over a course of time. It's a 50-50 fight in my opinion.
We've never saw Eubank do the rounds though, have we?
No.
Especially, Saunders, he does look like he fights late, but he's done the rounds. Eubank, he fights at his own pace because he's fighting poor opponents so far. This is his big step up. I just think, I know people are comparing it to, his father against Ben when he was the huge underdog. He never fought no one. But take that out of it and take out, Eubank's hype, like his dad's hype. Really, if you're looking at it logically, you'd favour Billy Joe Saunders going in. You don't know what Eubank is about. That's the thing. We need to see him, and this is his big chance.
From a bookmaking standpoint, this is a crazy, crazy fight. It's almost 50-50. Best price Billy Joe's 5-6. Best price Eubank 6-5. So it's almost 50-50. I wouldn't be surprised if it did go off. 5-6, both of them.
Ridiculous.
Adam, is there any bets for Eubank not turning up at the weigh-in or the press conference?
Well, I can't see him turn up at the press conference, but no, he'll piss about all week. If they've already started the ball rolling on trying to get paid on a Wednesday and whatnot, I think they'll mess about all week. But if Eubank wasn't called Eubank, it would be no way near 6-5. He's even money with a lot of them. For example, Ladbrokes, Paddy Power, the popular bookmakers, if you like, are even money. It'd be no way near that. He's so unexposed. He's in there because of his reputation that his name brings, and that they reckon he's got talent. I'm siding with Billy Joe. I do take your guy's arguments. I think, but he's definitely trained, really hard for this fight. I'm siding with Billy Joe, but it's close. I certainly won't be betting on it. No way.
It is a weird one now because as the fight gets closer, more people are going with Eubank. It seems, and 6 months ago, it was wide for Eubank if they fought, wide for Saunders if they ever fought. Saunders would beat him easily. As it gets closer, now it's a 50-50 fight. But if Saunders wins this handily, people are just going to say, well, Eubank's shit, he's never fought no one, he's only got it on the name, and that's why it's a tough one for him to be in. I think they're banking on Saunders being, emotionally involved in this, but I think him on his own, but the corner man he's got, he knows the boxing, and I think he's going to make sure he doesn't get, too involved in what the games that obviously Eubank Senior is playing.
Yeah.
That's a huge factor in the fight. I think the mind games. I think they're banking on Saunders coming out like a lunatic, and Eubank's going to start Eubank's going to start taking over and using his speed and athleticism, and pretty much how you described it there, Kurt. That I've been wavering like that recently. Originally, it was Billy Joe Saunders all day. He's fought the likes of Blandamura and Ryder and Spike O'Sullivan, all undefeated fighters in a row. And now he's got the experience of going the 12 rounds, but I'm just starting to think Eubank now. I'm really starting to think Eubank's maybe going to get to him and stop him late, but I really want Saunders to win. But the way you described it, that's exactly how I'm starting to see the fight now.
So, Steve, you're going with Eubank?
Yeah, it pains me to say it, but I am going with Eubank, yeah.
Kurt, who are you going with, mate?
I'm going for Billy Joe on points. I think, He didn't have to take this fight, remember. I know he missed out on the world title fight, but he didn't have to take this fight. It's a credit to him, I think. He could have said, nah, Eubank, he needs to fight someone worth a shit first. He really fancies the fight. I really rate Tibbs as a trainer as well. I think they all saying they fancy this fight. And Eubank, I think, is a talented guy, but from what I've seen of him, he hasn't shown me anything really against the guys he has been facing. He's done everything that he should be doing, but Billy Joe is that level above, from what I've seen. But Eubank might prove me wrong and show a level above, but for me it's Saunders on points. He's the one who's proven at this point.
At a fight at such a high level though, Kurt, can you remember there being such a disparity in level of opposition before such a fight of this magnitude, even on a domestic level? Look at Saunders' resume against Eubank's resume, like in recent years. Eubank really hasn't fought anybody.
No, he's been very carefully matched. That's the thing, and that's why you think, well, when they're usually carefully matched like that, it's like they're worried about something. They want him to learn on the job. He didn't have a very big amateur experience either, did he? But from what his dad says, he saw him, in sparring a lot of, he sparred Groves, Frotch, and he's supposed to have done really well. He's been to Cuba and sparred heavyweights apparently, and he got bashed up, but his heart, and he's always wanting to carry on and fight. So that's what's convinced his dad. And I get the point that people are making. That his dad's not a stupid man, and he's putting him in this fight. He honestly believes his son can win it. But again, most dads would probably believe that, especially someone who's so is big as senior. So I just think there's a lot of pressure on Eubank Jr. from his dad, to be honest, and he has to perform. But I think as long as he makes it a good fight, even in a losing effort, I think his stock will rise. But if he gets dismantled, it's going to be hard for him, I think.
Do you think the corner, whoever's in the corner, will have a factor? I mean, is Eubank Senior going to cede responsibility to the more experienced man, Ronnie Davis, or is he going to plank about in the corner again?
He's going to take over. I mean, he seems to be doing it, and he's pushed Davis aside, hasn't he? I mean, it's all about Eubank Senior. That's the show, isn't it? He seems to be carrying on his career through his son, which I think, like I said, it's putting a lot of pressure on him. But he obviously believes in his son. He's seen more of his son than obviously we have. So maybe he is the goods, but I'm not convinced, to be honest.
Well, he is vicariously living through his son. I mean, isn't he trying to suck off the back of his fame, basically? But what happens if he gets to the 9th and the 10th round and he needs an experienced voice, not someone who's standing there in front of him flashing his fists in silence? He needs someone to help him through those moments. Is Eubank Senior going to be any use in that situation?
Ronnie Davis obviously will need to step up to the plate, basically.
Well,
if he's allowed to, though.
If he's allowed to.
Yeah.
The dad runs the show, doesn't he? Let's be honest. I mean, Saunders has said himself, whatever Senior says, Junior has to do. That's always been the case, and you can see it. But like I said, that's why I like Saunders has got Tibbs, who's very experienced, and they're confident, and they've took this fight when they didn't have to. And credit to both guys for taking this fight, because like we talked about the other week with the middleweights, Andy Lee, Macklin, Barker, Murray, they haven't fought. These two are fighting, so I think credit to both guys, and just hopefully it's a good fight. And I think it will be.
Andy, just further on the odds, they've got method of victory available. Billy Joe points is 15-8, nearly 2-1. Eubank KO is then next at 11-4, which I'm a bit surprised at. Eubank decision 7-2, and Billy Joe KO 4-1, with the draw at 25s.
Interesting. Dave.
Never big punches, though, are they?
Nah.
Not particularly, no.
Dave, just to let you know, mate, this fight is on ESPN3.com if you've got access to it.
Yeah, I'll be watching this one. It's rare we get to see a fight like this, especially from the UK, where you got two guys pretty early in their careers, both reasonably known and with this kind of build-up. So it's a good fight. I'd pick Eubank. I think the head games are going to work. I've actually never seen Saunders fight. I only saw Eubank once, so I don't know much about this situation. But just from what I do know, I think Eubank will take over late and probably get a stoppage when Saunders tires. But that's just my prediction. Anything can happen.
Alex, who are you picking, mate?
Well, I've been sort of against this fight. Well, not against it. It's a good fight, but I've not seen the competitiveness of this fight at all. I think that Billy Joe Saunders is going to completely destroy Eubank. I think it's a complete mismatch of a fight. I've not seen anything of Eubank that tells me he's good enough to fight Billy Joe Saunders at the moment. So obviously I'm picking Billy Joe Saunders either by knockout or wide points decision. Again, maybe we will see something in Eubank and maybe he will win and come through, but I've not seen anything in it. All Eubank has beaten, all of the people that he's beaten have either been knocked out before, or they've got losing records, or they've lost loads. He's been completely built up with a false record, and it's just rubbish. He's been built up on the name, on the back of his dad, and he's going to get seriously exposed next week.
There we go. Well, I'm kind of at the start. I was with Saunders all the way, and just as time just creeps up on us, I'm being kind of swing with Eubank, but we'll wait and see. Maybe change my mind again. But at the minute, I'm probably just going to side with Saunders just now. But I'm still kind of on the fence. Also, is that top in the bill, that fight?
No.
No, is it Chisora and Fury? Definitely, yeah.
Is the three bouts on the line for that fight? The British, Commonwealth, and
European. Yep.
I mean, it just says a lot. I mean, Eubank's in this type of fight, and he hasn't fought anybody. I mean, he's got here with his mouth for it. Well, with his dad's mouth, I suppose. It's there's a lot of pressure on him and Saunders. To be honest, I mean, Saunders has said he'll retire if he loses. You don't never like to hear that from a fighter because it's just stupid. But a lot of pressure on him as well because he's talked about Eubank, he's not good enough. He's never fought nobody, so he has to perform. But I don't think he's going to come out and try and go for the knockout. I think, as some are predicting, I think Tibbs will not allow that to happen.
Very briefly, lads, give me your winner in the main event.
I think I would just like to say the Eubank and Saunders fight being made, and with what's gone on in the build-up, seems to have taken over from the main event. It's still a massive fight. Fury and Chisora is still a massive fight. I do believe the winner will go on to fight for a world title. Maybe not immediately with the title madness that we've got at heavyweight, but I think I don't think we should be forgetting how significant and big the fight is, and I think it will turn out to be a cracker just because the fights happened before and the promotions happened before. I think that's why Saunders and Eubank took over, in terms of what we've been talking about last few months and looking forward to. I think Fury's going to knock Chisora out. Chisora does look in decent shape from what I've been hearing and seeing. So, but I think Fury, there's too much on the line for Fury, and I think I'm a big fan of his uncle training him, and I think they'll win by knockout.
Kurt?
To me, it's a close fight and a tough fight. I don't see Fury knocking out Chisora. I think it's either Fury points or a Chisora stoppage myself. Fury, I think what is making me think that he might lose his fight is the inactivity. His last time he fought anyone decent was Steve Cunningham. When was that? April last year, when he looked horrible for most of that fight. I know people say, well, Peter wasn't there, but at the end of the day, he still should have done better than what he did, and he was dropped and hurt badly by Cunningham, who's not a puncher at all. And since then, he fought Joey Abel. That's it, and that's a nothing fight. Chisora, he's not been fighting great fighters himself, but he's been active, and that's what I like what they've done with him, in the fact that he's been out every few months fighting, and he's stopping guys, and I just think this is going to be the. I just don't know if Fury may be overlooking him. He's already beat the guy, and he doesn't rate Chisora. From what he said, he's just a guy who comes forward, and he's true, but he can be effective at what he does, and I don't rate Fury's punch resistance, and I think he's going to get hit in his fight a lot, and I think he's going to go down, but whether, he's shown before he's a very tough man, he gets back up, but I think I'm leaning towards Chisora by late stoppage myself.
Kurt, do you not think Chisora's damaged goods?
Well, I think the Hay knockout took a lot out of him, but
that was heavy.
It's just how much do you rate Tyson Fury? I mean, do you rate him that much? Personally, I'm not too convinced, to be honest.
I think as well with Fury, I know I've talked him up and I'm backing him for the win, but there's a possibility he might have overtrained for this. It's been a long time. He's been in and out of camps, and he hasn't actually been injured. Chisora did get injured. The Ustinov fight was off for different reasons. I think he might have overtrained. We've had camps for David Hay, Chisora twice, so it'd be interesting if he's ready to rumble on Saturday.
Dave, Steve, and Alex, give me your predictions. Who's going to win?
Fury wide points.
Steve?
Fury points. I felt Chisora before the first fight, but I'm going for Fury now, I think.
Alex?
Originally thought Del Boy points. I've wavered a little bit, but I'm still going to go with that.
Alright, I'm picking Fury. I think we'll maybe just keep him at distance and outbox him with the jab. Moving on very briefly, HBO card. I wonder if we'll get another good atmosphere like we did at the last fight with Gamboa, Terence Crawford and Ray Beltran fight for the WBO lightweight title, and it's also meant to be for the Ring magazine, so the lineal lightweight title is on the line. Terence Crawford, Ray Beltran, you've got Tommy's pal Jason Velez facing Yevgeny Gradovic for the IBF featherweight title, but it's all about the main event for us. Crawford, Beltran. Dave, give me your prediction.
I think it's a good style for Crawford to look good against. I mean, he's not a defensive whiz. He's a lot better. His alias is Sugar, I think, or something like that. But that doesn't really apply to him. He's a pretty come forward guy. I think he'll be there to be hit. Not as easy as some, but it should be a good showcase of Crawford's talent and ability.
So you went for Crawford, Steve?
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I think Beltran will be coming forward and Crawford will outbox him. It'll be a good fight, a hard fight, and competitive, but not on the cards. I think Crawford will be a wide winner.
I think so as well. I think Beltran maybe make it close and competitive for maybe the first 5 or 6 rounds, and then I think the class of Crawford will just end up shining through. Kurt, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad Beltran's getting this fight. He deserves it after the Burns fight. I mean, most felt he was robbed in that fight. He didn't get what he deserved, and talent-wise, yeah, Crawford should be too much, but Beltran's a tough man, and he's going to bring it for all the 12 rounds. And like you said, I think Crawford will adjust to him and his style, because he's going to be right on his chest and coming forward. And Crawford, he does look a very good fighter, and against Gambar, to be honest, I didn't think he was doing well early, but he adjusted in that fight, and Gambar's obviously a talented guy, and I just think Beltran is a star. He's going to keep coming, he's going to take shots, and I think Crawford, this is a good match for him. But Beltran, he's a good fighter, and he will make it a good fight, I think. And even if Crawford wins wide on the cards, I think it'll be a lot better fight than just the average, wide win and it's boring fight or anything.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's really said the points. I think that Beltran I think he'll make it a bit more competitive than some people are saying. I think he's going to give it a proper go. I mean, it's a shame that what's happened through Beltran in his career, because he probably does deserve to be a world champion at this point. That should be his belt at the moment, rather than him fighting for the belt. But I think Crawford's just one step too much for him, and certainly a level above. And he's going to either wide points or maybe a late stoppage after wearing him down.
I'm high on Crawford. I'm high on Crawford. I think the styles match well for Crawford, and he will win by knockout, and I'll be doubling it up with the Fury knockout as well.
There you go. Well, guys, I think we've run our course this week. It's been a busy week for us. We've almost given our listeners 3 hours worth of material there over the last 2 nights. So thanks again to the listeners for your calls, your texts, your Twitter questions, and your help with us for the Value of the Week segment. I'd like to thank the panel today: Dave Lowback, Alex Morris, Kurt Ward, Steve Wellens, Adam Smith. I've been your host, Andy Patterson. Just to let listeners know again, we'll probably have a live show next Saturday for the Tyson Fury and Del Boy Chisora plus Eubank Saunders, and we'll come back on Sunday again, maybe with a shorter show for the Terence Crawford fight on HBO. I've been your host, Andy Patterson. We'll see you next week. All the best.
You've been Cobra.
Audley Joshua, Gold Rush.